What up fellas, Paulie down in the building. Welcome to my video. This video is 10 tips on how to save as much money as possible. I have to say that from my experience, I'm relatively successful and good in saving money. And I have just learned this type of methods along the way. And I would like to just share some of the tips how I save some quite portion of my income. I am working in the information technology industry. Just so you know, I have a Master of Science. So I would like to just share how much I'm able to save and what are the tips that I would like to give you for saving. So let's start. The first tip that I would like to give you is that just live below your mean. If you're in your 20s, I highly suggest that you don't overspend. You don't need to have like a fancy new TV. You don't need to have like a fancy new car. If you need the car for your travel to work, or let's say for your overall existing, then I would just suggest that maybe you're looking at the cheaper cars, or maybe at the used cars, because a car unfortunately is just depreciating in values and is losing value each year. So if you buy a car that is like 20k dollars or euros, this year in 3 years it's going to be worth what, I don't know, 13k something. So you kind of lost like 7k just like that. So I would say that live below your mean, especially if you're in your 20s, because nobody really expects a lot from you, and this is the best time to basically be humble and saving money. If you're going to be older and if you're going to be having kids, then the costs unfortunately are of course rising, so you cannot really do a lot there. But if you're young and you're able to save, that's really nice. So live below your mean. And what I mean by this specifically, one thing that what you can do is you would basically just share a flat. You would just rent a room, and in that case you don't have to rent the whole flat, and basically you're going to be spending the rent with your roommates. But it depends on the situation, because in some cases actually some cheap flats for renting are even better deal than renting a room. So it depends on a case to case. But what I would say is that if you can get a cheap room, then it's good. But if you can get a cheap flat, then it's also good. Of course, depends on the what type of deal you are getting. But try to not like overpay for like a flat in like a fancy type of fancy location in town. Is it not going to be really worth it, because the money that you're going to be spending on the rent is just basically like thrown out, because you're never going to see the money. It's not like you are actually paying a mortgage for the flat. It's basically just money that you pay so you're able to exist. So I would like to, and I also just keep this cost down, and I don't want to be like spending like 60-70% of my income on the rent. It just doesn't make any sense. Other tip that I would like to give you is, it depends on the country where you're living and on the temperature outside, but I used to work out outside and also in my room, and this is not so much money that I saved, but I saved, I don't know how much is the gym membership, like $35 or 30 euros or something. So it's something. And I remember that at the place where I was living, there was actually an outside gym, not so far away. It was maybe like 1-2 kilometers from the place where I was living. So I took my bicycle, I cycled there, then I was training there, some pull-ups, push-ups, whatever, and then I was done, and then I basically cycled. So I had some cardio because I had to cycle there, then I was training there, and then I went home. It depends also what is the reason that you are training. Are you training just to be healthy and to feel good, or are you training to be a professional bodybuilder? If you're training to be a professional bodybuilder, then obviously you need some heavy equipment. But in my case, I want to be fit, I want to look good, and therefore working outside was just filling all my needs, and I basically need a lean physique, and that was what I was getting from working outside. The next tip that I would like to give you was basically just cook your own food. Just don't use Just Eat, Volt, I don't know, Uber Eats or whatever are those Of course, I am also guilty of this, that sometimes if I'm really tired and I'm basically, let's say that I'm sick, I will just order some like pizza or whatever because I'm not in a state to be cooking. But I highly think that a lot of people are not really understanding how much money you are spending if you're eating outside all the time. Even if you're just like having a Just Eat bring you the food, the pizzas, you're still paying for the delivery, and the pizzas are going to be definitely more pricier than if you just cook the food at home. So I think learn how to cook the food at home, and this is going to be basically saving you a lot of money in the long term. Or maybe find a girlfriend that is good at cooking. And if you're cooking, you can of course try different recipes and you can learn a lot. And a lot of people think that if you are like cooking, you need to be like cooking always some like really complex recipes, and that is so far from the truth. What I can tell you from my experience, let's say that I'm kind of lazy, what I would just cook is that I make rice. If you don't know how to cook rice, just Google it or search it on YouTube. And then basically either I buy a whole chicken. If I buy a whole chicken, sometimes they are cheaper, and I would just cut it out with I would just like cut it with a knife, so I separate the parts. And then basically I put a little bit of spices on it, and maybe a little bit of olive oil or whatever, and then I just put it in the oven for 40 to 45 minutes on 200 degrees Celsius. Then I take it out. Then I have perfectly, greatly, I don't know, baked. Is it baked or cooked chicken, and with the rice. And of course, if you have some salad, whatever, you can experiment. But this is just an example. So I make the rice, I put the chicken on the big plate, then I put it in the oven, and basically for, I don't know, 2 minutes of work, I have basically the food. And the only thing that I have to do is that I have to turn rice after, I don't know, 20 minutes or whatever, and I need to turn off the chicken after 40 minutes or 45 minutes. So there are very, very simple ways how you can cook. And I definitely would suggest, if you're lazy like me, just use oven. And if you don't have an oven, let's say that is the scenario, just you can buy it. Like kind of looks like a microwave, but it's kind of like oven. Just it's basically a bigger microwave, but it is an oven, and you can be just using it as a regular oven. So that is a really good alternative if you don't have the oven built in your place. And definitely I also have a microwave, and of course I can be then reheating the food in a microwave the next day. So that is really nice. Next tip that I would like to give you on how to save money is that a lot of people say that, oh, we just have to go to the city, we just have to go there. Sometimes it is enough that you're going to be also just like walking around in your area. Like you don't always have to go outside, go to the bar, go to the club. Sometimes you can just like have a walk in the park that you are having close to the area where you're living, or you can be just like walking around with no direction. And this is going to be really beneficial because you're going to be saving money. You don't need to go somewhere, then you have to eat somewhere. You're close to your place, so if you get thirsty or hungry or need to go to the toilet, you can always go back home. And you're just like exploring the area around you. And a lot of people actually have even no idea where they're living, because they always just like, let's go to the city, let's go to the city center, and go there to the bar or whatever. But you can be just like walking around, that just searching the facilities within your area. And a lot of people are really not aware that they are living in a great part of the town, and they just don't really realize it because they always just hurry up and want to go to the city center. Next point that I would like to mention is that find cheap hobbies. This is not always possible, of course, but let's say an example from my side is that in my free time I really like to play PC games. And PC games I consider to be a relatively cheap hobby. Let's say that if you buy, I don't know, 3-4 games per year, which game is like, I don't know, 40 euros, that's not a lot of money. If you're like evaluating how much joy and how much actually, free time you spend on it. So, and definitely there are many free games that are so good. Like League of Legends, you can be playing Counter-Strike, You can be playing, I don't know, Warframe 2. You can be playing Fortnite, even though Fortnite is for mostly younger people. But let's say that in my situation, what I like to play is World of Warcraft, even though it is a subscription base and I pay like 12 euros or 11 euros per month. It is basically kind of like the game that I enjoy, and maybe I will just end with it someday, whatever, when I don't feel the joy anymore, and I would be just playing some free to play game. But still, depending on the when it comes to the value that I'm getting out of it, it's a really good deal, because if you're going to be, I don't know, taking salsa classes or whatever, those could be also not so pricey. So it depends on the type of hobby, but I definitely think that you should be welcome to spend some money on the hobby. But if you find a cheap hobby, then it's better. And in my situation, I use my PC also for the work, of course, and it is just a byproduct that I can also play games on it. So that's why for me, having a good PC is very important, because I'm actually using it to be just basically working, and then spending my free time, or watching movie or whatever. So those are basically my tips on how to save money. Fellas, I hope you find some value in this video. If yes, please leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. Fellas, please also write me in the comments if you think that I did not mention some really good money saving tips. Write me in the comments what you think, and I might make a video out of it if I find those tips really valuable, and then I can just mention your comment and mention you in the video that those are also some good tips. Maybe I will make another video that will be like additional video to this one. So let us see. But thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day. I'm out of here. See ya!